Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to another all-new episode of PR from the Heart's Children's Book Spotlight Series. To be precise, we have reached episode number 177. That is the 177th trolley stop. Here not only at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, but we are continuing PR from the Heart's summer reading season, which we're super excited about. We hope that you are fully immersed in your month of June. My name is John Masiulionis, the manager here at PR from the Heart and the host of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. If you hear a little crunching in the background, that is little Forrest. He is enjoying one of his chewies on his end of things as well, too. We are really looking forward to, and we're color coordinating especially for this particular Children's Book Spotlight Series for a reason. And when we think of the color purple, well, yes, we think of the beloved Whoopi Goldberg movie from, I think it was 1986, if I'm not mistaken, but there's something that's really beautiful, something that's very powerful about the color purple. It really reminds us about peace. It reminds us about loyalty. It just really has beautiful energy surrounding it. And one of the things when we take the time to connect to our own beautiful energy and the beautiful energy of other people, we remember the importance of remaining open to receive the love that you are, remaining open to connecting with your skills, your gifts, your talents, and being open to the flow. And that can seem very daunting for us, especially for us as adults, because we tend to try to want to control things quite a bit. But our little ones, our children, no matter what their age is, they are reminding us to remain open, to be in the flow, because that is where adventure happens. That's really where adventure awaits us. And sometimes it may take us a little bit of time to get from point A to point B, but when you surrender to the flow, you have some awesome, amazing adventures that happen. And leave it to a brand new middle grade series that is helping us to remind that you can just be doing your thing, enjoying some camping in the wilderness, and all of a sudden you get these amazing experiences that you can experience as well too. We encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course our fellow shining stars, to head on over to Amazon.com, where you can purchase your copies of the all-new Alex and Ace Adventure Series. Alex and Ace, The Adventure of the Purple Pendant, and Alex and Ace, The Adventure on the River of Grass. Both are now available. You can leave 5-star reviews for both books in the Alex and Ace middle grade series to let our featured guest know this week on the Children's Book Spotlight Series and beyond that she is doing wonderful and much needed work for not only children ages 8 through 12, but for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books, those who love great middle books, and those who love the color purple, just like this guy right here, and just like my little furry friend down there. The trolley doesn't travel too far. This particular week, we travel out from San Diego, California, all the way to the beautiful area just right outside of Colorado Springs, Colorado, where we find the newest member of the PR from the Heart family, our featured guest here at episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, Susan Steinman, the creator of the Alex and Ace Adventure Series. We really appreciate spending some time with us here in our neighborhood this week. Susan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, hi, John. Thank you. And hi to Forrest. I got to look at Forrest a little bit ago. So he's a very sweet little puppy. And I'm excited for our conversation today, too. Thank you for having me.
I am as well, too. Likewise. We always encourage all of our new listeners and viewers, if you're just tuning in and watching in for the first point in time, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support along with all of our friends and neighbors who have been with us for multiple magical trolley stops. If these messages that we are sharing, talking about not only the beauty of the color purple, but the color, not the movie or the Broadway musical, that is, and especially connecting to the thread of being open to new experiences, being open to new adventures, trusting yourself along the way. If any or all of these threads are really resonating with you, or you feel that they need to be shared with someone in need, one of the many ways you can pledge your support for us here at PR from the Heart and the Children's Book Spotlight Series is to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel and to share this very special trolley stop that you are now enjoying. Again, that is episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, joining the close to 5,000 subscribers that are part of the PR from the Heart family here through our official YouTube channel. I'm really excited to talk about the books, but before the books, there's always an origin story, Susan. We all have the story of when it began, whether it be a specific moment in time in our lives or through a series of experiences. Having the chance to read your series, it takes a very brave soul. It takes a certain signature to be able to create this, because this series has fun, it has adventure, it has life lessons along the way, and that takes some precision to be able to craft all of this. For those of our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course our fellow shining stars who are tuning in for the first time and learning about your work, when did you know that you wanted to become a children's middle grade author, and really what inspired you along the way in the process?
Sure. I was actually in middle school, and middle school was tough for me. I had come from a sheltered, sort of sheltered elementary school, living out on an island. We had a very small school. It was very, it felt very safe. And then moving into a bigger middle school, it felt really loud and chaotic, and I just never really felt that comfortable there. But I had a language arts class and teacher who I really enjoyed. And we had a writing assignment to write a story. And I thought, okay, well, this would be kind of fun. And I did. I wrote the story and turned it in. And when I got the grade back, on the front of the cover, she had a big A++. And then the comment, "Are you going to be a writer?" And I had never really thought about that before. So it just really planted a seed for me. And it all of a sudden I kind of felt like, oh gosh, I've found my tribe. This is a place where I feel safe and where I can create. And it really just sparked that idea that, hey, maybe someday I could be a writer. And I had never really had that feeling before. So I think that's where it started. And that seed took some time to germinate. So it took quite a few years for me to actually start writing. But when I think back, that was, and kind of an example of how important our teachers are. Like one little comment just kind of opened up possibilities for me.
And I'm really glad that you connected with the thread of how important teachers are, because, right now we are in the beginnings of the summer vacation for little ones. And this is the time where teachers are giving themselves a little bit of a break, but they're also planning out things for the back to school season as well too. So for all the teachers out there, not only teachers, but teachers, principals, librarians, superintendents, all educators, big thumbs up to you as you are enjoying PR from the Heart's summer reading season. The idea and the concept of the series, for those who are familiar with picture books and those who are familiar with middle grade books, it's obviously a completely different energy. It's a completely different creation. When you do a middle grade series, it's more about the writing, whereas with picture books, it's about the writing and the illustration, so to speak. Could you share with us how the idea and the concept of the Alex and Ace series came to life?
Sure. I was actually out hiking in beautiful Colorado, one of those just pristine, gorgeous fall days. Weather was beautiful. And walking along, there was a stream, and I sat on this big rock and just kind of looked at the water. I was feeling very peaceful, and there was something shiny in the water. And I thought, oh, just my imagination just started to go to work. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool if that was something magical in the water? I don't know where that thought came from. But then I thought, gosh, and wouldn't it be cool if I didn't find it, but what if my grandkids found it? Thinking about they would maybe find something magical and just have cool things happen. And from that, it just kind of spiraled into this adventure where these two best friends kind of find this magical item in the water, and it opens up just a whole another world for them. So that's how the idea started.
And I can only imagine, because it's when we have an idea for something, it can, just in a relatively short period of time, there's 2 books in this series. We're going to be talking about the both of them more in depth, so to speak. So I really admire your creativity. When I was reading the books, like, again, sometimes it's easy to walk into an independent bookstore, children's bookstore, Barnes and Noble, and say, oh, this seems easy. but just in terms of the flow of the descriptions of where the little ones were and how they were taken to these enchanted places, and even kind of going back in time, so to speak, not to give too much away in the Alex and Ace Adventure series, but it was just like everything. It's a very grounded story as well, too. Like it's interesting. This is the second consecutive episode of the children's book Spotlight series, coming off of Jarrett Lerner's children's book Spotlight series. He's the amazing, totally awesome, award-winning middle grade author who wrote the book A Work in Progress. It seems that like now I'm able to read books in one sitting. You know, the picture books, you can tend to go through them rather quickly, whereas again, it can take, 2 to 3 hours to be able to read to a book such as yours, but it's well worth the time, by the way. I want to be able to mention that as well, too. Now, whenever we know we're given that green light, through divine intervention, through our intuitive self, a combination of the above, we realize that we have this density. We're humans, so we can experience the challenges, the difficulties, the obstacles, the problems, the stressors, the troubles, worries, you name it, we can experience it, because there's the part of us, whether it be if someone is questioning their creativity or has a fear of success or has the proverbial imposter syndrome. It's like, who, me, this message, who's going to read it, who's going to buy it? I mean, those bazillions of questions that we can experience and feel. What were some of the challenges and difficulties, whether it be when you knew this series had to be created, through the writing process, even now, 2 books published? What were some of the challenges and difficulties you experienced along the way, and what were some of the things that helped you to get through to the other side of those?
Yeah, sure. For me, it was making the time and being consistent. And I found that it was very easy to say, well, I'll finish this someday. I'll finish this. I'll work on it today. And then I might work on the book and then put it away for a while. So for me, the barriers were kind of self-imposed. And to your point, I think there was a degree of worthiness. Am I worthy to write this book? And that imposter syndrome, will people read it? And so for me, it was, and then just not making myself a priority, not making my own goals and wishes and passions a priority. And what really helped me get to the other side of that, I think, was my own spiritual journey, my own work, personal growth work, and recognizing that I did have a story to tell, and that I was probably the only one that could write this particular story. And if it was a story I felt this need to write, then probably someone needs to read it. And I tell that to when I go out and talk to kids in schools, but there's a story to be written, and you may be the one that needs to write it. So I think that I kind of realized that, and then also, if not now, when? Just do it. And once I shifted that mindset, it just started to flow so much easier, and building those consistent habits became so much easier, and just joy-filled. It's fun to do that. The writing is a very joyful thing for me to do.
I can feel that you really enjoy the work that you're doing, because how does the well-known quote go that if you love what it is that you're doing, that you doesn't feel like you have to work a day for the rest of your life. And then I'm also glad you connected to the thread of, if not now, when? There's another well-known quote that says, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. And over the near 5 years we've been doing this program, there's a lot of aspiring authors who maybe just, journalers, so to speak, maybe just they write a little here and there freelance, and they're kind of, connecting more with, I've had this idea for this book, but ... And just the people that we've connected with over the years, it's important to know that if you have a story to share, it's in you for a reason in the process. We hope that you are fully enjoying not only our summer reading season here at PR from the Heart, but specifically episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. Joining us is our featured guest, Susan Steinman, the creator of the Alex and Ace Adventure series. We're going to be diving into the pages shortly of the Adventure of the Purple Pendant, in addition to the Adventure on the River of Grass. Both are now available. You can head on over to Amazon.com. You can purchase your copies. One of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Susan is to be able to purchase your copies and leave 5-star reviews. Again, letting her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books, those who love amethyst, those who love other kinds of crystals and stones, and so on and so forth. You'll see how the whole purple pendant and crystals all connect together, which is a perfect transition into the first installment in the series, The Adventure of the Purple Pendant. The cover art is very captivating. And that's one of the things that when you see a book, there's, oftentimes when you find yourself at a inspirational bookstore, children's bookstore, spiritual bookstore, Barnes and Noble, and you'll see a book across the yonder distance, and it's like calling to you, so to speak. So when I first saw The Adventure of the Purple Pendant, it just looked it looked like it was right up my alley. One is because, again, I have the affinity for the color purple, obviously, but, having this blend of an adventure, there's several spiritual threads within the story. It teaches a lot of life lessons. And one of the really cool things that I want to mention before we dive into the pages itself is that each chapter has a beautiful quote at the very beginning. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about before we actually talk about both books itself. So for example, chapter 3 in The Adventure of the Purple Pendant, titled Saturday Slide, there's a well-known quote from Henry David Thoreau. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. So it's really setting the tone and the intention for what it is that you read within the next, 5 to 10 to 12 pages within the chapter. Starting off with Alex and Ace, The Adventure of the Purple Pendant. Before we talk about that, and then The Adventure on the River of Grass, was there a specific reasoning that you wanted to include these quotes like right at the beginning? Was it to set the intention, the tone of the chapter? Was it a little bit deeper and beyond the scope of that?
It was to just sort of set the tone for the chapter, and to just offer maybe a little extra inspiration along the way. I haven't often seen a lot of quotes for children's books, but I thought it would be really cool to do that. And that was a lot of fun, just trying to research and pick the right quote that I felt would fit for the content of the chapter.
I love that. Diving into the pages of The Adventure of the Purple Pendant, one of the things that we do not do here at the Children's Book Spotlight series is we don't like to give away the whole kit and caboodle. So it's not like, reciting chapter 1 and then here's chapter 2 kind of thing. For those who want to be able to get a pretty good idea of the story, can you help us really connect to the heart of the story and what this adventure is, and really what is it about this purple pendant and why it's so important, and really how Alex and Ace are being called in the process to do something very special with this purple pendant?
Yeah, sure. So Alex and Ace are 11 years old, and Alex is a girl and Ace is a boy, and they're best friends. And they do find this purple pendant in an old rusty box, kind of buried in the muck of a stream, just by accident. And they discover when they kind of wash it off, and it feels different. It feels warm. There's kind of a purple glow around it, and they're just so curious about that. And they take it back, and when they show it to their parents, there's nothing like that. It's just a cold, regular necklace. So it's only something where this magic connects with the kids. And that sort of opens up a portal for them to be connected to some magical animals who take them on some very great adventures, and that they have a job to do if they can and if they choose to, and they need to reunite that pendant to its rightful owner. They need to find out who that is, and they need to figure out a way to get that pendant back to them, because it really will impact just the feel. It will impact the energy of good and no good. So it kind of weaves into the importance of them, and they have to do it in a timely manner. So time is of the essence, and there's somebody else looking for the pendant too that's up to no good. And so they need to try to kind of connect this all together, just using friendship, using teamwork, perseverance, courage, just kindness, compassion, just kind of all those really great principles we want our kids to learn as they navigate this adventure.
There's, again, as I mentioned in the PR from the Heart Green Room, one of the things that I love to do is I tend to use, I somehow found these purple pens by a company called Energel, and they're absolutely amazing. So some people use the highlighters, some people use the Sharpie, some people use the pencils. I use my trusted purple pen. But just seeing things like if you go to the very beginning of the book, when you can really see how Alex, who is the girl in the story, how her mom is encouraging her to have a gratitude practice. And it sounds like they have a family gratitude practice at night. And then Alex
Yes.
also shares how her mom encourages her to meditate. So again, these are these, when we're doing our part to be able to help introduce our children to spirituality, we can come across as like really strong, like super woo-woo, and nothing wrong with that if that's a person's cup of tea. But how essential is it to you to be able to drop these little nuggets in there between, meditation, gratitude? These are really the pillars of being able to not only help children to become successful, but even just to have a really peaceful, enjoyable, well-balanced and well-grounded life. So how essential is it for you to just place these little nuggets here and there throughout the course of your first book?
It was really important. It was one of the main things I wanted to do was just to provide a gentle introduction to some of those concepts, to just, to your point, not to, sort of force it on them, but just to normalize it, that this is something that's fun to do. It's easy to meditate. It's easy to just take a moment and find our breath if we're feeling stressed. And I think through storytelling, we can just make that something that all kids feel like it would be easy to do. So it was really important for me to weave those positive, mm, kind of a positive mindset, those thoughts into the story.
And even there is some really good messages in there for adults as well, too, because as adults, we can get sucked into the density and the lower energies of life. We can move through difficult challenges, whether it be if you struggle with an addiction to alcohol or to smoking or to gambling or to shopping, or just you're experiencing an illness, a sickness, a disease. So I really love page 32, when again, even though it was just part of the book, it says, who here wants a healthier life? One filled with energy, health, and vitality. So again, it's just, I encourage anyone who really reads both of your books to go in with having full presence, because there's these little, they could just look like these little small nuggets, passerby statements, but it's just like, aha. And again, depending upon where you're at on your own journey, you can be like, yeah, I am ready for that, right? And so this is kind of how you're helping to create your own adventure along the way. I really love the early part of the book as well, too, because I am a child of the 80s, and I don't think I saw the movie from beginning to end, but I've seen enough of it and listened to a large portion of it. So one of the biggest guilty pleasures of the 1980s is the Olivia Newton-John, I really don't really want to call it out of this world movie, Xanadu. And there is a song called Magic. And it says, I forget how it actually is, but it talks about believing in magic. And so this goes to, again, the description of magic, how magic has always been a part of this world. It's as normal as the sun rising and the sun setting. Magic keeps everything moving forward as it should. It helps guide us to do things that we may not see, but it's there. Some people call it magic a coincidence. I happen to know it is a well-orchestrated series of events that happen for the good. Now, if the good people at Funk and Wagnalls were looking for a revised definition of the word magic, it's just like page 14 and 15 of Alex and Ace, The Adventure of the Purple Pendant. Is there really anything that you wanted to expand upon that in terms of what does magic mean to you? Is there anything that you can really paint beyond the scope of that, or is that really just that in a condensed nutshell?
Well, I Yeah, it does. I think if I were going to expand on that at all, it would be that to me, magic is really that connection to that spark within us, within me, within all of us. And we're that connection to a divine intelligence, if you will, and whatever one's belief system is perfect, maybe, but just a greater intelligence, that spark that each of us has inside of us. And almost like magic to me is that connection to my soul, just it's just something that's in all of us, and it's there. We just have to be connected to it. We just have to know that it's there, and be aware of it.
Agreed. And we do want to give courtesy to one of the characters in the story, Corvus Merle Raven. We always give proper courtesies here at the Children's Book Spotlight series. So we won't give too much of a spoiler alert, but the story ends on a happy note, thankfully. But
It
then
does.
Alex and Ace come back. So like really at the very end of the story, you really see how there is this bridge. I know sometimes when you read a book and you can be left on a cliffhanger, but then sometimes it's like you don't know if it's just a solo stand book by itself or if there's going to be something after it. And then you transition into the adventure on the River of Grass. So before diving into the pages of that, I'm just really curious in terms of when the first book was completed and you knew the second book was going to be worked on, could you take us to that particular point in time, like the things that you wanted to you built this foundation, you had this great story, but obviously before the next book releases, there's things that you have to do, there's things you have to put in place, whether it be the messaging, the artwork for the cover. What did that necessarily look like for you? Could you take us through when book one was completed and you were beginning to work on book two? What was the groundwork that you were working on in terms of the inner structure of the book, or just that you were moving through at that particular point in time on an emotional or creative perspective?
Sure. And I wanted to continue to grow the characters and to kind of expand who they are. Some of the characters are in the second. A lot of the characters are in the second book as well, and along with some new ones. But I really wanted to continue their quest. To continue their mission to do good, and to be a part of this kind of animal group, who the Council for All Good Everywhere, and to help in ways that adults can't. Just they've kind of been chosen, and they're ready, to help and willing to help. So with the Adventure on the River of Grass, I actually was going to what's now going to be in the third book of the series. I was going to start with that one, but I was home in Florida, where I grew up, and talking to my nephew, and he was like, "Oh, well, you should write a story about the Everglades, have them be down in the Everglades. There's a lot of mystery down there." And I thought, "Oh, I think that's a great idea." So that was kind of what my thought process was when I started to read that book, and also wanted to just kind of build in a little bit of and just how important it is. Every choice we make is important. It can impact our environment in ways that we may know or not know, and the choices that we make can impact generations to come. So just kind of weaving a little bit of that social responsibility in, along with that kind of, I want kids to feel empowered. I want them to know that they can make a big difference, and their contributions are very important to the good of the order.
And it's interesting, even when you refer to the Council of All Good Everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting how there is that you can look at when you see the word cage and you can think of constriction, restriction, limitations. But when you give it a little bit of a different spin, an acronym, it is the Council of All Good Everywhere. So I kind of, that was a little aha for myself. Even just the way in which, again, like for someone who just loves color, like I do, and you really see, like, I know that green is the color of my late grandmother who passed 10 years ago. It's like anytime I see green, it's just like that automatic connection with her. So again, like you don't necessarily know who's going to be reading your story and how, like, you probably heard this, there's people that have heard about your books through just like, I saw the cover and it looked captivating and I felt I had to read it, right? Then there's, readers that are the friends and family, and then, you put your stuff out on social media, and then you have authors' school visits and television interviews and radio interviews and whatnot. But the fact that there's something really strong within these two children. And this is one of the reasons why I really look forward to the rest of the series continuing to grow and to expand, because the fact that that's one of the things that especially parents are looking for, and really kids are looking for. I know for me growing up, it was the Boxcar Children, and it was the Hardy Boys.
Yes.
I think it was more Boxcar Children than Hardy Boys. And then I think for the girls, it's still the Babysitters Club. I know that was the case for my sister way back when. She loved the Babysitters Club. But to be able to have these characters that are very, they're very modern characters. They're not, antiquated characters, but they have their own unique quirks and characteristics in the process. Could you share with us a little bit more before we kind of, move on into the interview? Really why it was paramount for you, for both Alex and Ace, to have these distinguishable characteristics so that they can not only grow within themselves, but so that the series can also grow as well too, just beyond the scope of one or two books.
Yeah. Well, I want our kids to realize that they're more powerful than they know, that they are more unlimited than they might possibly even imagine, and that possibilities are everywhere. And through the characters of Alex and Ace, to really grow that level of comfort within them, that they're courageous, that they can be scared of something and maybe do it anyway, and that they can make wise choices. And I think that, Alex and Ace inspire me because, they do have that confidence. They do have that willingness to think outside the box, to kind of accept things that aren't in our normal frame of reference, and to be kind of comfortable in that unknown, to be kind of comfortable and really connecting to knowing that they have, that they bring value to the world, and they don't brag about it, and they don't, talk about it. It's just kind of like part of who they are, is to just sort of help in whatever way they can.
And again, the quotes continue throughout the course of both, not only the adventure of the Purple Pendant, but the adventure on the River of Grass. I know one of my favorite ones, and little Forrest is also chiming in, so I know this is one of his favorite ones, is Chapter 4, Fly Free. One of the beautiful quotes by William Blake: "No bird soars too high if he soars with his own wings." So even if you're just a lover of inspirational quotes, that is the perfect gateway and bridge for you to be able to enjoy and find yourself again immersed in the Alex and Ace adventure series. We are beginning to wind down our time with our featured guest here on episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, middle grade author Susan Steinman. The books, once again, in the Alex and Ace adventure series: The Adventure of the Purple Pendant, The Adventure on the River of Grass. Both are now available. You can head on over to Amazon.com, purchase one or both copies of the series. They make great gifts for the summer reading season, for the forthcoming back to school season. If there's a graduation that your little one just experienced or will be experiencing, it's not too early to start purchasing gifts for Christmas as well too. I know it's like, John, come on now, it's 6 months away. Sooner than we know it, Christmas is going to be here. Leave 5-star reviews, one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Susan, to let her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books. For all educators, not only in the Colorado area, not only in the Florida area, but all across the country, best way to connect with Susan as of right now is through Facebook. So we've included her Facebook link in the description below as well too, so that you can continue the conversation post Children's Book Spotlight series as well too. The term adventure, during the summertime, kids, they're not in school, so they have the opportunities to have even more adventures. They can go out hiking with their father. They can go to a baseball game. They can go to a concert. They can go to an amusement park. They can have adventures in their own treehouse, similar to how Alex and Ace have in The Adventure of the Purple Pendant. New adventures can seem kind of scary. so to speak, at the same point in time. It's a matter of, okay, this is something new. I know a couple of months ago, I went to a men's retreat out in the Topanga Canyon area of Santa Monica, and it was literally on the other side of my comfort zone, and I had no idea what to expect. The gentleman who was facilitating it, he's like, here's a couple things that we're going to be doing, but that's it. I knew maybe like a handful of things, and it's just like trusting myself and the flow of the weekend. So it really, that particular experience moved me into the unknown and onto the other side of that. From your perspective, with, observing life through your lens, creating these books, how do new adventures help us move into the unknown?
Well, they're so expansive, right? I mean, from your retreat, kind of pushing you outside your comfort zone. And new adventures really show us potentials and possibilities that we might not otherwise have thought about or been connected to. So whether that adventure is trying something new, like you did by going to the retreat, or maybe an adventure on your own, maybe a vacation or doing something special or reading a story about adventures. I think they're a gateway to possibility, to expanding our world and expanding our vision of what our universe looks like, and how to feel comfortable in the unknown. And that's a great skill to develop, to feel that level of comfort, no matter sort of what's going on around you.
It's a beautiful share and a beautiful reflection on that. One of the things that we always pride ourselves on here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, especially during our summer reading season as well, is to be able to have our guests provide us with tangible information, whether it be tips, tools, strategies, supportive ways. So this is information that can be taken, extracted, downloaded from the parent, caregiver, grandparent, educator watching it, passing it on to their little one, to their student. Kids have so much magic. I mean, we really all do. One of the things that it's frustrating, and I see this, and you see this, I'm sure, there's people that are out there that have that spark of divinity within them. I call it one soul signature. And they don't know it, or they're afraid of it. They don't know how to connect to it. It's there. It's clearly evidence. Like, how many times have you, when you're in the midst of something, you'll have someone say, like, I see this in you. Like something really good, really amazing. And you're like, man, I wish I could see that in me in that moment. But you can't, because of the stuff, the density, the emotion, the pain, the trauma, the story, whatever. So with that being shared, how can we as parents and caregivers and custodians of our little ones help our children to connect to their inner magic within, and then create magic in the outer world?
I think it's really important for our kids to be aware of thoughts and emotions and feelings. And as parents and as caregivers and teachers and educators, one thing that's really important is to be the example. Be the example. Be aware of your own thoughts. If I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I'm just so tired. How am I going to get all this done? Ugh, I just wish I could sleep. Well, I'm probably not going to have a great day, But if I wake up and I'm like, okay, well, gosh, it's going to be busy, but I know everything's going to work out fine for me. Being that example for our kids, asking them, one of the great questions I love to ask my grandkids is, how does your heart feel today? How does your heart feel today? And it doesn't have to be happy all the time. All emotions are great. Maybe they're feeling sad. That's important to know. That's important to recognize. I'll just share a real quick story. My grandkids were over a few months ago. They're 4 and 9, little boys. And we were just sitting at the table, relaxing and having breakfast, or, it's just kind of having a nice little morning. And I just asked them, I said, are you happy in your heart? And without hesitation, both of them just yelled out, yes. And it just made me so happy to hear them say that. So I think just in as many ways as we can, help kids recognize what they're feeling, what their thoughts are, and what their emotion is that's associated with that.
Mm.
And that can be a really, really powerful tool. Something else I think would be really fun for kids to do and is for them to write a letter to their future self. So this might be a great thing to do at the beginning of the school year, just for them to write a letter to their future self at the end of the school year, like, hi, me, gosh, oh my, what a wonderful year it's been. Did you know that you joined the baseball team or that you finished that story, and just have them be as specific as they can, because that really does help create magic inside and also what might be happening on the outside. And what are they feeling as their future self? And what are their actions that they're taking as their future self? And they can put it in an envelope and stick it off somewhere and then look at it at the end of the year and say, oh gosh, what happened? What did I accomplish any of these goals? And it might be just a really great reflection tool. A spin on that I like as well, and I've done this so many times, is to write a letter as your future self to your present self. So maybe for a child who's 11, that, maybe they write a letter as their 18-year-old self to their 11-year-old self, just to reassure them and let them know that, what, everything's going to be okay. And you're doing a great job. And, just a way to affirm, to validate, to support them in their inner journey. Creating a vision board, that's also a lot of fun for kids. It would be a fun summer activity. And you just get poster board, regular old poster board, maybe a stack of magazines, some glue or glue sticks, and just have the kids tear out pictures of things that they like. Maybe they like to swim and they're going to tear out a picture of a lake or a swimming pool, or maybe they want to play baseball, and whatever's important to them. And then they can arrange it on the board the way they want to, and they can color it with crayons or markers or stickers and put their name and on it and date, and then they can just put it in their room and look at it when they want to. And I think that's kind of also a very cool way for kids to connect to a magic and realize that they're creating, they have a lot of power to create the life that they do want to have, and when we start young. And the other, just one more thing, just, teaching kids young to find that quiet place within them. And it doesn't have to be a detailed meditation practice or mindfulness practice. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be something simple, like just focusing on your breath, just taking a nice breath in. When you breathe out just a little bit longer than you breathe in. And that just helps relax your nervous system. And if we can teach kids to do this while they're already calm, then if they're having an anxious moment, or they're feeling sad, or something's happening, they can use that technique to really just help reset their own nervous system. And I think, gosh, the more we can teach kids how powerful they are to be able to self-regulate in that way, I think it will go a long way to helping them find that magic within them.
That is all beautifully articulated. And it's also important to know that everything that you shared, these are things that us as big kids can do as well for ourselves. It's not limited to just children, because, this is one of the things that I can see through my own lens. I see myself at some point in time being a father. I'm a dog dad now, but at some point in time, there'll actually be another little human being in my life. And it's a matter of, over the past 10 years, I've been on a journey for longer than 10 years, but really in terms of nourishing and reconnecting, repairing, reconnecting, and nurturing the relationship with my inner child. So those things that you necessarily didn't experience when you were young, like writing the letter to your future self, like if you're 35 and you want to write a letter to your 40-year-old self, you can do that. And you can still give that part of you that didn't have that experience. That's why so many people love going to Disneyland, no matter whatever age that they are. And yes, crank up the Olivia Newton-John magic as well. So it's perfect intention setting music. I will tell you that as well. At the very end of the adventure on the River of Grass, just to briefly share the end of page 76 without giving away the whole kit and caboodle. So, of course, Corvus and Ginger Cinnamon Tenderfoot, who is also one of the characters in the series as well. Cage wants to thank you for a job well done, dear children. Reuniting these statues was a big job and you pulled it off perfectly. Good energy flow is expanding through the mangrove forest and Everglades, and we have you to thank, you for helping with that. Safe travels home, and we will see you again soon. So putting a little pin in that. And then it says, Ace said, well, I don't know what our next adventure will be, but I'm sure it will be fun sharing it with you. Onward to our next adventure. I can't wait, Alex thought. So there's obviously a book 3 that's coming out. So, and I'm really excited because based on the fact, again, just how I can only imagine these books getting into the hands of kids now, summer reading season, back to school season, the holidays and beyond. This series doesn't have a shelf life. This can really inspire generations to come. What are your future plans for the series? Can you give us a little sneak peek, coming attractions, if you will?
Sure. I'm already working on it, and I know the title. So it's going to be Alex and Ace Adventure on Bigfoot Mountain, and they're coming back to Colorado, and they're gonna help. And Bigfoot's pretty cool. Bigfoot's not scary, or it's just they're gonna probably have a little bit of an interaction with him. Corvus and Cinnamon will be there, and they're gonna help really in good ways. Help keep a beautiful area of Colorado beautiful and protected. So there's going to be a lot of fun in it, and I'm already, just it's so much fun just to start thinking about it and outlining it and writing it, and so that will be the next one in the series.
That's awesome.
Hopefully by the end of this year.
That's
you got to put that out there.
Everything always happens in the perfect and divine time. I'm a firm believer of that. Everything in life is a teacher. Whether it be little Forrest teaches me every single day, he does. Whether it be a relationship, whether it be a movie that you watch. There's always learning in everything. I'm fascinated to know, what have Alex and Ace taught you about yourself and taught you about life?
Yeah, well, they really do inspire me. I had mentioned that earlier, and it's so true because through developing their characters, I've been able to kind of connect to that inner child of myself, to have that courage, to have that perseverance, to have that vision of knowing that I'm much more powerful than I know. And I didn't always realize that as a kiddo. And I think so what they've taught me is possibility. What they've taught me is really to always connect to the magic within, and to realize, to realize the value that I bring to the world, along with the value that everybody brings to the world. We're all in this together, and we all help each other, through in however we can, whether it's through writing or singing or just being a kind person. So they've taught me some pretty important life lessons that I want to continue to expand on.
I love that. And the fact that, again, it's a matter of these characters may not seem like they're not real life people. They're characters in a book, but in many respects, they are larger than life. In many respects, they are real because they're teaching you some really cool things in the process, which is fantastic. The two ways that we always close out each children's book spotlight series episode, we're very deeply influenced by the work of our late neighbor, not our literal neighbor, but our figurative neighbor, Mr. Rogers, of course, the host of the long-running popular children's television program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Recently, I know they just celebrated in Pennsylvania, but they have a thing called 143 Day. They celebrate the 143rd day of the year in the month of May, and that just came and went, and that's another way how they remember Fred Rogers. But in different ways, shapes, and forms, whether it be, of course, through his time as host on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, through the neighborhood episodes, speaking all across the country, college commencement speeches, talks, most notably when he received his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Daytime Emmys shortly before he passed from stomach cancer. He always encouraged us to remember those, and he always kept the time, whether it be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a full minute. Remember those who helped love us into being. And that was his way of saying, remember those people along the way who helped us to connect to, or to reconnect to, our inner magic. Who are some of the people that you would like to publicly recognize on episode number 177 of the children's book Spotlight series that helped love you, Susan Steinman?
Oh gosh, yeah. I've been blanketed in a cocoon of love and support, and my family has been incredible. So, I'd start with my grandmother, who gave me my first diary when I was 9 years old. I still have it. It's still fun to read. But it was probably the first introduction of connecting an emotion with a feeling. And I don't know that she ever had that opportunity to do that in her life, but she felt it was important for me. My mom and dad, and my sisters Diane and Jane, have been wonderful. My children, Jessica and David, and my grandkids, Kaylin, Kaysen, Nolan, they all inspire me each and every day. Kind of a special shout out to a friend of mine, Catherine Board, and she's been a beautiful example of really knowing how to connect to her inner strength, and it's helped coach me along the way too, to connect to mine. Just again, my friends and family, so many friends and friends from elementary school that support my books and buy my books. And I'm just so touched by their support. My boyfriend, John Ryle, has been a beautiful unconditional support for me, and I'm very grateful to him. So I really do feel just completely embraced in so much love and support by those around me. Very blessed.
I love that you have the opportunities to share all of those people, because as Mr. Rogers said so poignantly, that whether those individuals are near or far, whether they're still with us or they're looking down on us from heaven, they must be smiling, knowing the impact that they made on your life in the process, in the lives of those that you touch. We have the abilities, and this kind of connects again to the theme of magic, we have the abilities to bring to form and to shape our dreams, desires, goals, ambitions that we want for ourselves, for our own lives, as well as for those who come into our lives, for those who we're blessed to love, to support, to encourage, and to be of service to. And we go always back to the Wayback Machine, because one of the many ways that we're inspired by this, we go back to the year 1992. We go back to one of our favorite Disney beloved animated classics. We remember the late Robin Williams. It's hard to believe. I think it's been like 10 years since he passed, but we always remember the Genie of the Lamp from the Disney classic Aladdin. And this leads us to one of the ways that we always close out our children's book Spotlight series, a little segment that we like to call Three Wishes. So Susan, you have given and are continuing to give to your family, to the families of many across the country, around the world, not just in Colorado and Florida, but across the country and around the world, children, parents, families, educators, etc. And so you're being given the opportunities to receive, which is great. So it's oftentimes when those come on the program, they're like, wait a minute, I thought this was going to be an interview. And then they see the genie lamp and like, this is pretty cool. I'm getting 3 wishes. Hooray for me. Now, I think the only automatic disqualifiers, as the Genie of the Lamp says, you can't make someone fall in love with you, and you can't ask for unlimited wishes. I think those are the only 2 automatic disqualifiers, but anything else is fair game. So you're being given 3 wishes here on episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. What would they be?
Wow, I love that question. And I have to say that I'm gonna go back to what I inscribed in the book, The River of Grass, but it's just 3 words: in dream, create, soar. And I think those would be my 3 wishes: just to always dream, to never let my dreams go, to always create in whatever way I can, connect with my heart and create, and to soar, to aim high. Don't play anywhere else but from a place of just soaring. So I think dream, create, soar would be my wishes.
I love that. They're very simple but very powerful at the same point in time. And I really believe that if a wish comes from someone's heart, it has a greater chance of coming to fruition as well. Because sometimes
Yes.
people want the Jeff Bezos yacht, and there's nothing wrong with wishing for Jeff Bezos's yacht or a yacht of equal or larger proportion. But what if there's something greater than Jeff Bezos? I don't know where that's
That's
coming
right.
from. Just like I really love the way that in which you had shared that. Raise your hand if you have had fun on episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight. Many hands from Susan, from myself, from the little ones on screen. As we like to say, that means mission accomplished and job well done. Again, we encourage all of you, if you haven't had the opportunities to do so, feel free to head on over to Amazon.com. You can purchase your copies of the Alex and Ace Adventure series. Again, The Adventure of the Purple Pendant, The Adventure on the River of Grass. They are both now available on Amazon. One of them anyways, if you can pledge your support for Susan to let her know that she is doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books by leaving a 5-star review on Amazon. Keep the conversation going post Children's Book Spotlight series. You can connect with Susan through her official Facebook page, as well if you are an educator and are looking to be able to discuss the facilitation of an author's school visits for the forthcoming back to school season or for the 2024. There's a lot of 20s in there. The 2023, 20. I remember when I was in school, it was like the 91, 92 school year. Like, fast forward a little bit beyond the scope of that. But again, you can connect with Susan through her official Facebook page as well, too. And as we like to say, there are many more magical trolley stops forthcoming during our summer reading season here at PR from the Heart. And sooner than we know it, we are going to be celebrating our 5-year anniversary celebration. It is literally just a few weeks away. It's just around the corner. And of course, then shortly after that, we're going to be celebrating our 200th episode. So there's so much to be grateful for here at the Children's Book Spotlight series. If you are a children's author, if you are a middle grade author, and you would love to share your inspiring story and the release of your new book, your new children's book, or your new middle grade book, just like Susan had the opportunities to this week here on the Children's Book Spotlight series, we encourage you to head on over to our official website, prfromtheheart.com, or you can connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at PR from the Heart. We are looking forward to spending the summer months and beyond with our dear friend and neighbor. You remember him and you love him as the beloved Mr. McFeely on the long-running children's television program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We will be forthcoming with new episodes of PR from the Heart's Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, of course, the official popular children's book review program here at PR from the Heart, where David and I, as a little tip of the cap to his character, we deliver the newest heartfelt reviews and shares from the newest award-winning, best-selling children's books in the world of children's literature from both published authors as well as self-published authors, the rising stars in the kidlit community. If you are a children's author and would like for David and I to be able to share and review your brand new book on a forthcoming edition of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, you know where to connect with us at prfromtheheart.com or any of our social media platforms on screen. And yes, if you are a children's author, if you are a middle grade author, now is the time to be able to create more magic in your life, to be able to not only share your inspiring story and the release of your brand new children's book, but to connect with more parents, caregivers, grandparents, and educators. And one of the ways that you can do that is, of course, getting your message out there through the media. So if you are looking to facilitate a book media tour in a city or cities of your choosing, if you're looking to create a national book tour, if you're simply interested in facilitating a television interview and trying that on for size in one of the largest media markets in the country, you can schedule your courtesy connection call by heading on over to our official website, prfromtheheart.com, and let us see how we can be of service to you. One final time, we encourage you again to head on over to Amazon.com. That's where Jeff Bezos came from, because he's the guy with Amazon. That's right. You can purchase your copy of the Alex and Ace Adventure series. Again, The Adventure of the Purple Pendant, The Adventure on the River of Grass. They're both now available. Again, you can not only follow along with Susan's author journey by following her author page on Amazon, but also leaving 5-star reviews on Amazon as well for The Adventure of the Purple Pendant and The Adventure on the River of Grass. Again, letting her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. As we hear the trolley, we means that is time to go. But again, fear not, many more magical trolley stops that are forthcoming as well too. If this message, these magical messages that we have shared here on episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight series have inspired you, if they've lifted your spirits, if you say, if anything, I need to find a magical purple pendant in my life because I really want to create some more magic in the process. If you feel that this message, these messages that Susan and I have shared should be shared with someone in need. Again, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Susan, as well as us here at PR from the Heart in the Children's Book Spotlight series, share this very special trolley stop that you have been enjoying, episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. Subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel if you haven't had the opportunities to do so. And again, share this very special trolley stop that has been episode number 177 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. We want to thank you for your continued support of children's authors and children's illustrators that are doing, again, wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books, such as Susan. We want to thank you, of course, for your continued support of PR from the Heart, the continued support of the Children's Book Spotlight series, especially as we're in the midst of our summer reading season. As we mentioned, children's authors and children's illustrators, such as Susan, for the pillars of our community, children's bookstores, independent bookstores, and local libraries. They truly help to bring that magic to life as well, too. And we want to thank you for your continued support and walking home the children of the world alongside us in the process. One final time, we want to, of course, bring back in the spirit of our favorite neighbor, Mr. Rogers. He still is with us, even though he's obviously on the other side. He did this for us in many, many, many ways, and he reminded us, especially through his time on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and through, of all things, his weight. Somehow, the man weighed 143 pounds for his entire natural adult life. That was his way of communicating to us in a very special language, in his own private numerology, that he loved us, that we're worthy of our own love. There's one letter in I, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. As our way of reminding that to you, and since Susan was very kind to be able to join us and give us some of her free time this week as we're starting the month of June, we share our favorite numbers, which are 2, 4, 3. There's 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. That's our reminder that you are loved, that you are special, that you are whole, that you are healthy, that you are complete, that we like you and we love you just the way that you are. And this has been a magical trolley stop in the Children's Book Spotlight series. By the way, before we forget, 2 paws up. One of the best endorsements, obviously back in the day, if you were like a movie buff, if you were an actor and actress, you get the 2 thumbs up from Siskel and Ebert, the late Siskel and the late Ebert. Well, little Forrest is still very much alive and with us. He's just turning 9 months old. So he gives 2 paws up for the Alex and Ace Adventures series as well, too. So again, head on over to Amazon.com and enjoy the series and enjoy what's to come from Susan Steinman as well, too. For Susan Steinman, for myself, John Masiulionis, for little Forrest, thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Goodbye for now.